Okay.
Hi, this is Ed. I'm in San Diego, California, and welcome back to Global TV. As you can see, this is our logo there. It's good. And I'm virtual, so I may disappear. So I'm not sure.
And it's looking really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
was toying with it, trying to make it more crisp, but I don't know how to do that. So Brazil talks. Patty, welcome again.
Thank you, Ed. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about Brazil Talks today. Well, you're here on Global
Hmm.
TV, and I thank you very much for doing this. But I'm really happy to be able to have you as my guest. And so, give a pitch here about what Brazil Talks is, and I'm going to let James in, and then I'll introduce him. So you can start talking about what is Brazil Talks.
Okay. Thanks, Ed, for the invite. I think it's the third or fourth time that we're together here, and
Yeah,
there's always more to share, right? There's always something new to share. So, Brazil Talks is a platform. We use it as an educational platform here in Brazil. It shares information and content for not only for global mobility professionals, but for human resources also. So we do talk a lot about everything that's happening in the world, right? Not it's called Brazil Talks because it's in Portuguese, even though we do some or one or another webinar events in English also or in Spanish, but we try to concentrate it a little bit more in Portuguese to have the information free for all Portuguese speakers, right?
great.
We do talk a lot about all topics, human resources now, and then next week on next Tuesday, actually, we have our business fair where we have over 150 people already enrolled for an event in São Paulo. And this one, yes, it's a little bit more specific on global mobility with global mobility providers as our sponsors. And the topic we're going to be talking about DE&I, but DE&I related to global mobility and assignees. So this time it was a little bit more close towards mobility.
I
But
want you
yeah,
to meet James Moss, who's coming to us from Manhattan. Hello, James.
Hey
hi
Ed,
James, nice to meet
hi,
you.
hi
Meet Pat.
Patricia.
Meet Patty, Patricia Tavares. Uh, am I mispronouncing your name?
Tavares.
Oh, that's
But it's
really
okay.
good.
It's okay. Doesn't matter.
That's a great pronunciation.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and I put Patricia, but everybody calls me Patty, so don't worry.
yeah.
Lovely, very
So
good.
Patty is she's talking with me now about her broadcast, which is Brazil Talks, LatAm Talks as well.
Hmm.
And she's been our guest on Global TV a few times. And so I'm really happy to have her on the show. And I want to make the introduction, absolutereload.com. As I mentioned a few minutes ago before you arrived, James, I was introducing absolutereload.com to Patty.
Great, great. Well, thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, we basically use the technology side of the equation. We were a relocation business, and but we do everything on a mobile phone. Patty, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And we just took the whole of sort of more old-fashioned type of model that most relocation companies use, and put it in the context that everyone the way everyone lives today. It's more of a lifestyle type of approach. I mean, if you have a mobile phone, you have one of these, you are a potential customer basically.
Hmm.
And it's going down a storm. It's going down really well. And yeah, we're sort of building momentum. Very, very interested in South America, the South American market, and what's going on down there. We have quite a lot of Spanish speakers here in the States, and also a nice sprinkling, beginning to get a sprinkling of Relo advisors who are all independent experts down in South America, particularly in Brazil. So we've got the Portuguese speakers there. So yeah, I'm really interested in what's going on down there, and it's great to meet you and to be part of this show.
Well, that's great. Okay. Hola, Jorge, welcome.
Hi, good morning. How are you,
Hi.
buddy?
Hi. Meet Stephen Howard in Mexico City. And Jorge is in Miami area. Patty is in Sao Paulo, and James is in New York today. Adriana, hello.
Hello,
Hola.
how are you? Good
Good.
morning.
Welcome. Meet Patty Tavares. Of course, I'm just mispronounced it. My tongue
It's
has to be
perfect. Don't
trained.
worry.
Yeah. So Adriana is an author of 3 books and co-author in another one, and very active in Mexico City in marketing. Adriana, do a better job self-introing than I just said, please.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. Yes, I study communication and I work in different companies in Venezuela and in Mexico, especially in marketing, communication, and public relation. And since I guess I say my own experience in the corporate world, I just decided to write my first book in Spanish and English that calls When a Strong Woman Speak, a Strong Woman Listen. And then, yeah, I talk about how kind of the corporate world in Mexico, and I guess in Latin America too, it's kind of sometimes difficult for women. And then I wrote my second book that calls Strong Women Have Beliefs and Values. And then my third book with co-author with Stephen. The name of the book is Strong Woman Speak About Leadership, Success, and Living Well. And the fourth book that I just launched a few months ago is called A Strong Woman Speak About Sex. And you know, as in Latin America, we have so many taboos about sex. So yeah, I'm being very happy with 4 books and the result of them. But yeah, many more things to say about it.
Well, that's really interesting, and welcome. So Stephen is an author of 22 books, all having to do with leadership. Leadership, Stephen, this is about coaching today, isn't it? Or it should be.
It should be. It should be about coaching and mentoring and developing your people. As I like to say, it's no longer about getting the most out of your employees. It's about putting the most into your employees and reaping the benefits of doing so.
Right. Okay. So Patty, what do you think about that? Leadership.
I actually act as a mentor here in Sao Paulo and in Brazil. I have few mentorees that are always, I try to work with leadership and with career transition. So I really like the topic. I think it's really interesting. I study a lot about it also because there are always new ways of doing the mentorship, right? And how you are going to take your mentorees up and seek what they want at the end of the day. So I like the topic, but I also love the topic of Adriana's books because strong women here in Latin America, it's hard to be a strong woman in Latin America. I know I am one, and I know how much I suffered so to get where I got today. So I really like the topics of your books, Adriana.
So
Congratulations.
Adriana, is it that, and I'm going to just play happy TV talk show host here for a minute, okay? So that's where I'm coming from. So you feel like you don't belong, or you've been put down because you're a woman, and I don't want to use the word aggressive, but that's what I'm thinking.
No, I think all women were strong and all women were leaders. It's just like, I think sometimes we don't believe on that. And especially talking about my third book about leadership, when I talk, when I do my workshops with some companies or speeches, in Latin America, they think like just women that, you know, they have very good position in companies, they travel around all Latin America, they have a very good salary, they're leaders. And I say, no, I don't think it's right. I mean, because the women that they're like, you know, at home raising their kids, they're leaders. The women that they take the risk to be entrepreneurs or leaders. I mean, I really think and believe that all women, we are leaders. But unfortunately, maybe our culture, religion, and many other taboos about it, they don't they tell us that no, we have to, kind of, be and also have this big position and make so much money. And I think this is why this book, it's been very successful, because bit by bit, I think women, they're believing that, they can be leaders and they are very strong.
Thank you very much. Stephen, you collaborated with Adriana on at least one. And so how was that experience for you? Did you feel valued?
I did. I was her book coach, her book mentor for her first two books. And then we co-wrote the third book, the one on leadership. It's about women, strong women talking about leadership, success, and life experiences. So yeah, the thing that Adriana didn't mention there that I see, and I know from her and others I've seen in Latin women don't support each other enough as leaders, and they don't build up other women. Somehow there's still too much competitiveness, particularly in the workplace. When you have women in multinational companies at the same level, they tend to compete with each other a little bit more than they should. But I think it's evolving, and I know that's one of Adriana's strong messages, is that women, successful women, need to support and help other women become more successful.
Power off.
I totally agree with that, Stephen and Adriana. I think it's something that's in the women's core, I would say, if it's right to say that in English. The taboo that Adri said that we have to go through here. It is hard for you to help other women grow. So, for example, what I do with my mentoring is I only mentor women. I do not mentor men. I only mentor women because I want to see them grow and I want to see them get somewhere, right? And I think there are two different things that I want to say here. One is, if you read a book on Nike by Phil Knight, he says something very strong, which he says, mothers are our first coaches in life. And I totally agree with that, because we do start coaching once you become a mother. You have to teach your kids, you have to tell them, what do they do? How do they react? What are they supposed to do? So it is like we are their first coaches in life. And the second thing I think is really important is when you go to researches, you see that men, for example, they apply for a recruitment placement with 60% of the capacity or 30% of the capacity. Depends on the research you're reading, right? But women only go if they're 95 or 100% capable of complying with every single thing. We do not think that we can go into a role and learn that role to be able to grow. We want to go into the role and be on the job already, right? So that's something also that doesn't help us very much in growing.
That's very
Well,
true.
women, mothers, teachers, leaders, wives, friends, all wrapped in one. You're multitasking from day one.
Always. True. Totally true.
I've had to learn. So I want to welcome Rita. Hello, Rita, and your team. And Fernando, hello. So Fernando, why don't you introduce yourself briefly?
Thank you, Ed. Hi, everyone. My name is Fernando Ramirez. I am the Service Delivery Supervisor at Premier. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
And Jorge Flores, welcome. This is the first time that we're together on a show, and I hope you enjoy this. So tell us about LARM today, and what specifically is your role?
Hi, everyone. As Edwin mentioned, my name is Jorge Flores from LARM Group. We are a global mobility provider solution in all Latin America, in each country that we have real presence. And currently, I'm developing business like supporting the client, finding new leads, and supporting all the tasks that the countries need here in the US or in Latin America, connecting people around between countries.
Yeah, that's great. How many members do you have now? What, one from every country, I guess?
Well, it's like currently we are like 18 countries. Like we have presence, and each country we have directors, staff, and I don't know how many people are in the organization right now, but surely more than 50.
Yeah, that's great. So Rita, thanks for being involved as a leader and having your people here. I really appreciate it. And if you want to jump in and say anything or direct me to one of your team, that's great too. I'm happy to accommodate. James Moss has invented an app called absolutereload.com, and it's a winner. Practicing full disclosure, he is a client of mine and a very active member in the Global Press Club, which is a membership organization pushing these days. And more about that later. But the idea is getting better at public speaking on camera and being prepared to be on camera, not only to show off, but to be helpful to people. And Stephen Howard has been on our Global TV for more than 3 years. And I've learned from Stephen about being a speaker in an impromptu way, because I've been in front of the camera for a long time, going back to when I was a young guy in Boston, where I did commercials. But being on a TV show today using Zoom is way different, because the blowback will be drastic and immediate if I screw up. And so I tried to be a happy TV talk show host by having smart people like Stephen and James do more of the talking. So I'm going to stop. So you, Stephen, have just published the book about Humany, HUMONY, and tell us about humanyleadership.com.
Well, humanyleadership.com is the website for the book, for the philosophy of becoming a humany leader, which I created the word. You won't find it in the dictionary yet, although I do have a couple of people that are going to try and help me get into a dictionary someday. But humany combines the word human, humanity, and harmony. And in the book, I talk about creating workplaces of well-being and harmony. And people laugh at me when I talk about harmony in the workplace, that it's not achievable, it doesn't exist, but I think it can exist. And so that's what the website's about. That's what the book about. It's not really about being a people-centric leader, which is the best way to produce sustained results. I mean, you can get great short-term results by being a bully leader, by being a highly aggressive leader. But you're going to lose people. That's what we're seeing with the Great Resignation. So being a people-centric leader will help you get sustained results over months and over years.
Patty, I'm sure you're going to echo that. In your role as K2, you have responsibilities like that, don't you?
I do, definitely. Yeah, well, K2 is my day-to-day job. Brazil Talks is my dream. Let's put it that way. Brazil Talks and LatAm Talks, my hobby. It's what I love doing. Not that I don't love K2, because I love relocation also. But yeah, and I really like the word humany, Stephen. I think I even wrote it down here because I totally believe in harmony in a workplace. I think you can't do anything if you don't have harmony. You need people to get along together. You need, even with this virtual world today, right? It's even harder for you to get harmony, because when you do get together, then it's like, are these people my friends? Are these people strangers? Because I've never seen them personally, right? So I totally agree that harmony needs to be on humany leadership.
And I'm trying,
yes, go ahead.
Just to convince Stephen to make this like some humany leadership program for women in Latin America, because as he said, as he mentioned, yeah, women, we need to be more supportive, more to each other, be more kind, more friendly, more nice, less competitive. So I hope that I can convince Stephen to do human leadership for women in Latin America.
Jorge,
let me know if I can help with anything.
Yeah. So Jorge, many of your partners are ladies, right?
Yeah, a lot. I think almost 90% of the company are women, an excellent professional, excellent mother, and excellent friends that we have in our organization.
Yeah, that's great. So Fernando, many of your teammates are ladies also, right?
Correct. Here at Premier, we value women very much. I actually, my two bosses, direct managers, are women, and listening to the conversation, I can truly say that throughout my professional life, I've learned equally the same from men and women. And what I have seen is that over the years, with a lot of things going on with the globalization and everything. Women have feel empowered and have gone to really high level positions, and that's great. You know, we keep learning from everyone, and I think that's great for the team.
I just want to add something about this situation, because the women have real challenge in Latin America, especially in those countries that we have taboo, as Patricia said. Especially, I live in Argentina and Chile and Venezuela, and everybody talks about the conversation, but when you live there, the day to day, is you see the real situation about the women have challenges, because when you are working, when you're a man, you know about, or you can be aware about some situation, but the woman is take care about the business and their family in one single situation, and all the men is like first one things and later other, and the women in front this two situation in the same time. It's very impressive. Like, we need to learn more about the women in current era.
Yeah, thank you for that. So James Moss, when you say you're interested in Latin America, does that mean the app will be in Spanish?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last bit about the app there, Ed.
Yeah, would it be usable in the Spanish language or Portuguese language?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's the app at the moment is in English. Okay. However, we operate in over 30 currencies. Okay, we use Stripe as the base. It's a pay-as-you-go system, although we do client accounts and so on. So it's really the view that that I took and the team took at this stage is that English as a second language is the largest spoken language in the world. Therefore, we're sort of kicking off with that. I think as time goes by and as our business expands and continues to expand, and particularly in Latin America, which is an area which I'm really, really interested in. We do actually do some business in the Bahamas, and we're looking down to Mexico and Brazil and Argentina at the moment. We will definitely move into more global linguistics, let's put it like that. The other space that we're looking at right now is artificial intelligence, is AI. And early days with that, but it's rolling out very quickly across the world. And we're very interested in the language and even perhaps some of the cultural elements that could come into play there.
So, Patty, tell me again about your live in-person meeting coming up. That piques my interest, because in 2008, I produced my first event in Sao Paulo, and then we moved into Rio for a couple of years. So it's been a long time. So I'm very interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, so we're putting together next week on the 8th of August, what we're calling a business fair. So we have opened it to the market, the global mobility market. We have our sponsors, our Brazil Talks normal sponsors, and the specific sponsors for the business fair. And we have almost 150 people already enrolled, registered for the participation. It's going to be talking about diversity and inclusion in mobility. So we're going to talk about diversity and inclusion and how it applies to mobility. And then we also have a moment after all first the presentation, then the panel, then the introduction to a person that's going to be talking a pep talk about herself and how she survived in this diversity world, right? Let's put it that way. And then after that, we have a moment, a very special moment, which is called What's in It for Me. So everybody that is at the fair will have something for them personally, not for them professionally. So there's a person that's going to be there to massage feet. There's another person that's going to be there with tips on how to make makeup for a talk show, for example, on video, or how to dress better if you have to go to an in-person meeting to a client. Everybody today walks around in jeans and sweatshirts, right? And then how do you dress up for that? So several different little moments. Well, we're also going to have a photographer to take LinkedIn photographs so that you can change it, put on a nice photograph on LinkedIn. So it's going to be very interesting, very different. It starts at 1 p.m. and goes until 6:30 p.m. So it's a full afternoon full of things and activities.
Are you going to video it?
We tried, but the hotel didn't let us do the infrastructure to video it. We're doing it at a Hilton hotel, and they charged almost the same thing for the venue as they charged for the recording. It was a pity, but we did try.
So
We
you
wanted
can
to
walk
video it to
around with
LatAm
your,
Talks.
right, you know, you can have people walk around with their own mobile
Oh yeah, no, that we're gonna do.
video.
That for sure. We're gonna be doing small takes here and there. What I wanted to do is, because as we have LatAm Talks also, we wanted to put the business fair available for the LatAm Talks members. But then we couldn't do it because it was way too expensive.
Well, if you want some help in marketing or distributing those videos, I'm happy to make some space available. Free.
Thank you. I'll
Right.
I'll share with you. Thank you.
Now, we
Thank
always
you.
want sponsors, by the way, but I offer the service free.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
Yeah, good. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on with immigration. First, you, Jorge.
Well,
Ooh, immigration in
what is
LatAm,
not
Jorge.
happening?
Buena suerte.
Yeah, buddy. Well, it depends what country do you need to see, because we have a lot of changes dynamic, as Patricia says. Good luck is because every day, each day is changing, is very dynamic, and you can see some conservative countries like Chile, who has a new law, but is an update about others situation that they have been developing since 2013. And finally, the last year, they emit a new or publish a new law. But you have other situations like Colombia, like since October of 2002, they changed some rules, but it's more that fixing now these changes that they provide solution. Or you have the situation in Paraguay that they changed their law in October of last year too, that they make easier to get investment or some kind of workers. But Latin America is changed a lot. The reciprocity visas in Brazil and Mexico, Patricia can talk more about that. And the current delays about taking the dates to the federal police, or it is no fun situation working with LatAm, because you every day you have challenges. You need to know, you need to learn, you need to read a lot, and you need to be aware of everything. When the immigration is quiet, the taxation arises and change all the scenario. And if those areas are quiet, the relocation took their advantage, like in Argentina with the lease agreement, when you use a currency and the owner don't allow. But it's always dynamic. It's all that I can mention it you in the first time. And I know my colleagues here from Premier for K2 share with me all the fun that we have every day and the challenges that we need to know and share information. The Brazil Talks and Untalk Talk is a good tool, and to know more about this current situation in Latin America. And that said, Edwin, if you want to learn about each country especially, we are open to provide more information, to know the details. But as I mentioned in too many times, each day is very dynamic, and you need to be aware of every challenges, not only for the laws, it's for the know-how, local know-how that we make the challenges, the government policies, and the constantly change of resolution and rules in each country.
Patty?
I totally agree with Jorge. It's extremely dynamic. We do have the countries, the main countries now that are, let's say, the hot topics of the moment are Chile, because yes, they did do a review in their immigration law. And instead of, they said it's to facilitate, but we haven't felt it yet. So for example, a visa that you could get in 2 months, now it's taking 4 to 6 months. Yes, they do have an expedite process that sometimes you manage to go through, but they don't accept it for all the processes. So we have to work through that. Paraguay has done a good job with the investment visa. I think it's making it better. Brazil, complicated. They published a law in 2017, but then they didn't publish the norms that followed the law. They only published that in 2018, 2019. So it makes the process harder also and takes longer time. Then they stopped working on the normal work permits and started developing the nomad visa here in Brazil. What was going to happen to the nomads that were coming in? And then the other visa is sort of like crawling around trying to get to the right place. Mexico, we had an issue with the backlog because of the government, right? Going through a review in their system, not the law, but in their system. And it created an enormous backlog also. So yeah, it's like Jorge said, you have to be aware, you have to know what's happening. We're over 30 countries, and if you consider the full of Latin America, so it's a lot of laws that you have to know and understand. So we need the specialists. I'm not a specialist. I can name you the most common ones, but I'm definitely not an immigration specialist. I just like to go in and understand what's happening. And I've worked with Jorge before, and I've worked at and I'm working with Fernando a little bit more now also. So they understand when I say that I like to go in and understand what's happening.
Good.
I
Okay.
just love you're interested, Ed, to know more about Latin America. I know lately you're very involved in this, situation in Latin America, and I really can say thank you. It's a great region with so many challenges. I have the opportunity to live in US because my parents, they live in US, and I don't want to move to US. I live in Venezuela so many years, and now I've been living in Mexico since 10 years ago, and I love our region. It's amazing, it's beautiful, but yeah, with so many challenges that we have to work. And I guess my kids, they will need to work more. But yeah, I mean, I really believe in our region. It's amazing, but yeah, with so many challenges that we can talk in other show.
Yeah, Stephen, let's talk about Mexico as a business center. It's growing and the peso's rising.
Unfortunately, the peso's rising because I live in Mexico City, but my income is overseas. So, but yeah, you know what? Interesting. And a lot of people don't realize this. Mexico replaced China as the top trading partner for the United States earlier this year. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the people moving their manufacturing here to Mexico from Asia to take advantage of the North American Free Trade Agreement and duty-free stuff. But Latin America is going to be growing. I think Mexico would be significantly larger today if it wasn't for COVID. Mexico and even other parts, Brazil, Chile, we're all starting to grow just prior to COVID, and that set this region back a couple years, but I think they're all recovering very quickly and going to move forward.
Adriana, your involvement is with some other companies in marketing. Is marketing different in Latin America, in Mexico, than it is in the US?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because for the same reason, we have, many challenges that, and especially right now in the energy sector, unfortunately, we have so many regulations that they are changing all the time, and new laws. So it's kind of also your strategy in marketing, it needs to be changing all the time. So yeah, I think US is, I can say it's more stable than it is in Mexico, but that's good because you have to learn how to respond very, very fast and just change strategies very fast. So that's kind of, good for us, but yeah, I guess a big challenge also.
So at this moment,
one of the things that makes us so innovative and creative here in Latin America. We have to learn how to go around and how to move around. I mean, if you consider, I know, Carla, you're laughing, and it's true, right? I know.
I'm laughing because it's our daily life.
It's our daily life, exactly. So just a small example, right? Argentina now is going through an inflation rate of 60, 70, 80%, 90%. It's been crazy. Brazil has been through that. When my son was born in 1988, that's exactly the situation we were going through. 70% inflation basically during a month. It was crazy. We didn't know what to do, how to do. Even currency was difficult for you to discuss, because how do you discuss a currency that's changing 70% a month? Right. And then last year we had a little bit of inflation in Europe, and everybody was going crazy with 2%, 3%. And we were like, hey, calm down. It's nothing that bad. You just have to learn how to live with it. And so it was our opportunity to share everything that we know here in LatAm and that we do with Europe and even with the US, right? You also had a small inflation last year. So it's different, but it also lets us share all the knowledge that we have. So is it crazy? Yeah, it's crazy, but it's dynamic, and I like the dynamism. So
I just want to add, it's a situation that we get to in Latin America. I support Adriana comments. Like, I love Latin America too. I enjoy when I live in there, and I think in the future I will move it again to Latin America. But as Patricia said, here in the US, the inflation was very short, and the mood was very angry. You know this in the streets. And in Latin America, we are guests to the economic challenges, and everybody's happy. You can talk with everybody. Yes, you complain about the economic situation, but the way to live, the way to defeat these challenges is different. The approach that you have in the day-to-day is very different, and I think this kind of perspective will be the great strongest for us in the next 10 years. As mentioned, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, but also Bolivia, Paraguay, who have a strong market, who has economic perspective for the future, Peru, Colombia, Panama, and also the Guatemala and El Salvador, who has very quietly a space to grow up, and doing step by step, they're going to be potential medium countries for grown up.
Yeah, let's not forget Venezuela, right? We have high hopes with the elections in October. So we're already looking at Venezuela as a potential growing market in the near future, with our fingers crossed. Same with Argentina, with the issues that we have, right? And the currency issues and the restrictions. We're really hoping, again, fingers crossed, in October that we'll hear better news, and Argentina will be back to allowing transactions from the US, especially on the financial side. So Venezuela, I feel like it's going to be our up and coming, long waiting country for 2024, 2025. So let's hope.
Jorge, have you noticed an influx of Chinese investments?
Well, it's a lot of invest from Chinese people around Latin America. I think like 700% the structure is Chinese investment, or they own other companies in Europe that also invest in here in Latin America. And it's very important to work with them, to know his culture. I already work with some Chinese companies, but the challenge here is the cultural defeats that we have, like know each other, confidence, and other things. But I think the most important market for the future will be Chinese organization, and also European, because they have a lot of companies that we need clean energy, lithium, like Russia. Russia is a big country to extract lithium, and I think it's very interesting to keep following the Chinese industry and European industry in the clean energy, especially.
Fascinating to have you all on the show. I know Patty has to leave in a few minutes. We will continue here. Patty, thank you very much. Stephen, the involvement that you have, is that with Humany? And if you'd like to hold up that front cover of the book, that's very okay. This is the book cover, and the website is Humany leadership.com, and you can learn all about that. It won a gold medal from Nonfiction Authors Association. Is that correct?
Yeah, it did. I'm very proud of that. It's an industry standard. And so getting the gold medal from them was very, very rewarding, very nice.
So it won a gold medal because of the clarity of your thinking and expression. It's a complicated topic and a lot of BS around it. But what you've done is you've simplified it.
Oh, thank you, Ed. I tried to. I think it was a lot of having some wine, watching the sun go down from my balcony as I was writing the book. But yeah, I try to simplify it. The book is not aimed at the C-suite. The concept is not aimed at the C-suite. It's aimed at anybody who leads people, to me, as a leader. And that includes, as we were talking about earlier, mothers who may not be in the workforce, but they're parents. Parents lead children. They lead their teenagers. They lead their community groups. So the book is really talking about across the board being a people-centric leader, being the kind of leader that your organization needs, your community needs, and your family needs.
So what is the tie-in, James, between Dubai and London and New York, and now you're looking at Latin America?
It's really sort of following modern globalization, I guess, is a crude sort of way of putting it. We tend to work with a lot of younger companies and a lot of companies in the technology space and in the development space. So that takes us to some really interesting places. So, for example, you mentioned Dubai. I've been doing business out in the Middle East through London for about 20 years, and so there are two factors that lead to Dubai. One is obviously connections, really in the sort of real estate world, which is my other world, and then very much in technology, with the growing technology hub and the business hub, which is great because Dubai is like one of these major global business hubs. Latin America is a phenomenal trading partner with the United States, of course. And also it's very interesting, the developments, the relationships in Europe. And China, of course, has sort of bulldozed its way in softly into Latin America. So I'm very, very interested in the flow of technology, of skill sets. I mean, if you look at the United States, Spanish is the most widely spoken language here, and there's a good reason for that, because of migration, the influence which has always been there of Central and Latin America. So I see very much the future of trade continuing to develop through Latin America. And if you go back, I remember I've made a note here of the old acronym of BRICS, and of course that's changed a bit over the last sort of, I guess, 20 years when it first came in. But the sort of engine hubs of South America are still very, very much there, and it's like a different alignment. So I'm really very interested in the whole Latin American region. Apart from the obvious countries, the big players like Brazil and Mexico. So yeah, I think it's a fascinating play. I don't know it that well. And I would love to know it more.
Okay, folks, now's the time for everybody to use the chat right down on the bottom there and put your website or your email or your social security number down. No, don't do that. But ROI, return on your investment of time and energy here, will be in the relationship that you can have tomorrow within this group. And then I'll be happy too. So our plan very quickly here is to produce what I'm calling Global LatAm, a series, one a month. And it could be with one other person, or it could be with 10 or 20. It's open source, and never a fee to register for our events. But we do survive on sponsorships, and that's like $100 a show. The show itself, you know, we have about 15 people, including those in the background here. But the audience reach of this program in its recorded fashion, which will begin tomorrow, will be more than 100,000, using primarily LinkedIn groups to which I belong and have for 10 years or so. Our total reach, when we spend that time and energy to do it, is 1.4 million. However, the normal distribution of a program like this in the subsequent days and weeks and months following today's production date will be about 100,000. It's easy to reach. Not everybody who gets it opens it, but on a repetitive basis, some of you will recirculate this program, portions that you may clip out. You'll all get a copy of this program. You could do whatever you want with it. I'm going to sponsor it on my YouTube channel. We have produced since March of 2020, when I launched Global TV as a result of the pandemic crashing our live conference business, 680 programs. And that's in 100 countries, and total audience reach, according to Google Analytics, if you can believe all that, is almost 300,000. Audience views is what they call it. So I have no idea how long people stay on the program. I can do a deep dive on that, but I mean, it's just overwhelming. I'm not a tech person. I'm a happy TV talk show host. And so that's why I keep producing these things. So
And I apologize, but I do have to run.
And thank you very much,
Okay.
Patty, for being there.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Nice seeing who I already know, and nice meeting who I did not know.
Thank you. I'll
Bye.
send you the program. Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you. Very fortunate to announce that on September 21, I will produce a live meeting in London. And it's being hosted and sponsored by the bank HSBC. I'm grateful. They invited me to come and do it this past May 9 at the request of a company called AGS Worldwide, which is based in Europe and South Africa. And they have come back also. So between AGS Worldwide and HSBC, I'm being sponsored to produce Global London 2.0. And invite you all to show up in London, or you can be there virtually at no cost. But so the program is now being organized, and HSBC has indicated that they're interested to be involved in some other areas eventually. I'm particularly interested in producing a live event in Dubai, and also in Latin America, most likely to be Mexico City. And we will do more in the Caribbean by basing ourselves in Miami, and more about that later. On November 10 coming up, I'll be doing Global New York, and that is now being organized. It'll be a live meeting, and portions will be broadcast. The same in London. And we're also in October, we're also going to be doing live and virtual in something called Global California, which will be a series. Silicon Valley, of course, will be part, San Diego, LA. There's a lot going on here. California, according to the government, the US government, has a GDP exceeding all but four or five countries in the whole world. And so there's a lot going on in California. No denying that about 100,000 people left for Texas, or wherever, being nomads. But that I'll tell you, you can't tell. The freeways are still clogged. So that means there's a lot more room. Anyway, I've done enough talking. I thank you all. Fernando, would you like to sum up or make any more comments about Premier?
No, it was very insightful, all the conversation going on from people with different backgrounds, different job titles. I'm very happy to be here. It's been very valuable. Just in adding to the immigration piece, and something very important is that the trend that we have been identifying is that everything, several countries are now going digital. For example, Colombia and Chile, they have an immigration platform where you do everything through that, and that's the trend that we're expecting for the future for other countries. But agree on the rest of the comments. It's very dynamic, but we try to keep up to date with all the changes to provide value to the service. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Adriana, what is the title of your next book?
Oh, that's interesting. I have right now, three different proposals with three different women around the world, one from Spain, one from Mexico, and one from Colombia to write about balance between body, mind, and soul, or another options about relationships on a distance relationships, or about duality. So I don't know. I mean, it's, fascinating that other women, they're just coming to me to give me, this new proposal. So I don't know yet, but yeah, I'm very happy just to collaborate with some of them.
Great. So I want to invite Norman and invite Carla, if you'd like to speak up and introduce yourselves, say a few words.
My name is Norman Vargas. I am the Experience and Development Manager at Premier DS. I am located in Costa Rica. I find, like everybody else, the LatAm region very exciting, very dynamic, and it's a region that keeps us in our toes. Having said that, being ready for all the challenges that are coming and for all the changes that are coming, it is our responsibility to be up to date and keeping up with everything that changes so much. I also wanted to ask Adriana, where can we find your books? I find it fascinating to see women supporting women, because of what somebody else said earlier, that especially in business, women don't find that supporting women. We at Premier DS worked really hard, not only for women to support women, but for all of us to support all of us. And I have to proudly say that I am the only male member of our leadership team. I feel honored and I feel proud and I feel supported by my management and by my colleagues. So thank you very much for the space. This was very enlightening and I really, really enjoyed the talk.
So Fernando, you're sure you don't want to say anything more? Okay, Carla.
Hi, everyone. I am Carla Valdez. I'm actually based in Mexico, and I am the other side of the management team. So I do support a lot of Norman. And I think that while they were talking, Patricia was like, "You're laughing." I'm always laughing when someone is talking about my region, right? Because it is very surreal. And that's how I would describe it, right? We have humongous industries, humongous business, like everything is fantastic in the region, amazing people, food, and this, but everything is chaotic. Like everything has their own rhythm, their own pace. You need to be a local to try to understand it, right? And so that expectation, let's say from the US, right, coming into this crazy world, that is like, how can you, for example, someone just not arriving, is like, oh yeah, that's common. No, to Jorge's point, is like we're happy all the time because we already know that that's our life. So it's just so surreal. But I think that, not talking about women, this is a women industry. And that's why I love to be part of it, right? Our company, we have close to 300 members on a regional basis, right? So on those 300, I'm gonna say the 99% of them is women, and I love it. This is the industry to enhance and to empower. us, and I love it. I love to be part of it, and I love to live in this crazy world. Yes, but thank you so much, Ed. This was very interesting and enlightening.
Yeah,
So
please
thank you
come
so
back.
much.
Rita, thank you
Yes.
very much. If you'd like to say anything, now's a good time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ed. I do want to participate in future LatAm, anything that you need. Obviously, I'm here in Miami. So when you do your event here in Miami, I'm right here. I know, George, you're right here somewhere in my neighborhood as well. So definitely, I mean, for us, like Carla said, I've been managing Latin America. I don't know. I don't want to age myself, but probably close to 30 years. And I learn something new every single day. We find a new way of doing something every single day. And for me, that's the passion and the reason why we do what we do every single day. So thank you so much for the opportunity. As you can see, our team was very enlightened by meeting everyone, James, Adriana, Patricia. I really enjoyed her. I really want to talk to her more. I hadn't had an opportunity to meet her. I also want to see Stephen's book. Thank you so much for sharing the link, because I do want, we just recently created a new position in our company for our service delivery supervisors. So I think we could definitely use that book, and it's a gift that I'm going to give them. We are going to be in Mexico August 31st, planting trees with one tree. So I want to share that as well. So we're doing a lot of awesome things in the company, not only for our employees, and keeping that remind me, Stephen, of the name of your book.
Humany.
I can't even understand my own handwriting.
Humany.
Humany.
Humany. This is what I wrote. Humany. So I definitely want to read it and share it. I know one of my teammates shared that is what we do at Premier. We want to keep that harmony. We want to keep that momentum going. So I think it's a great opportunity as a takeaway from this meeting, not only meeting all of you, but also taking your book away.
Great, thank you. Jorge, let's stay in touch, and I welcome you to come back, everybody to come back at the next one, which will be in about a month. I don't know when yet, but I'll announce it. Thank you all for being on Global TV. As you can see, the name, Global TV. I mean, it's not work. Well, it is work, but I mean, I just love doing this, and you guys and your enthusiasm make my job easier. Stephen.
Yeah, I would just thank you, Ed, for doing this. You're on the right track. Latin America is definitely growing. For all of you in the mobility business, I would highly recommend you find partners in Asia, because here in Mexico, a lot of the immigration, the infrastructure, the people building factories are coming from Japan, China, Korea, Taiwan, even Singapore a little bit. So reach out, find your colleagues in Asia and network with them, because those are the expatriates now coming here, not just from Europe, not just from America and Canada. So that's my advice to you. Good luck.
Thank you. And with that, thank you for the cue. I almost forgot that we have done a few programs in Asia Pacific. We have Global Japan coming up on or about September 1. This company there called All Japan Relocation Inc. And the CEO is a young lady by the name of Amiko, and she'll be my guest. And we also will be producing in Korea and Taipei, and of course, Australia and New Zealand. We just did a program based out of Singapore, and I'll be glad to send you a link to that one so you can meet Kerwin, who is my special guest. He's with Hewlett Packard Enterprises in Singapore. Anyway, thank you again. Let's bring this to a close. A lot of megabytes used, and I'll do some editing and try to get it done later today, and then send it out to you all. So cheers. Please come back to Global TV, and thank you.
Thank you.